the Sea organization or Scientology's crazy, manipulative, abusive, torture, mental organization. There's so many words I can add to that. But so today I have the sweet pleasure of finally being able to have a chit chat here with Chris Shelton. Hello, Chris Shelton.
Yay!
Hip, hip, hooray!
Yay! Happy to be here. Happy to finally reach out. It's been way too long, and
Yeah.
I have excuses, but whatever.
I mean, I have excuses too, and I can just be real. There was somebody that put a bad taste in my mind, I guess should say, about you. And I always was annoyed by that because I was like, oh, but he just has so much good stuff to say. And like, I just caught myself always watching your channels, anyways, and like videos. And I was like, well, that's smart. Or, there was one time you were talking about the protests, and I would be like, well, you don't know, you don't know how it is in LA. But it didn't matter. I still was listening and watching.
Awesome.
And then there was so much awesome, like there's things you've said even more recent about like healing and the community. And you said a bunch of stuff in different videos about healing, but I just really recently liked, like, it just hit me like, why, like there was something you said. I think it was a more of like a political thing, but you did say something like, why are we not okay with having disagreements, but why does that have to affect friendships and our behavior? Like, why are we not able to just hear that somebody else has a different opinion or a different idea or feel about something? And so then I just was like, I should get back to my little feels of talking to people in this community, and especially people that I've learned from. Like, I guess we've all learned from each other through all kinds of ways, and I've learned through my bad behavior, or I've done something and didn't realize it was bad behavior until somebody lovingly pointed it out, or took their time, or just gave me good information that made that literally clicks. It changes things in your brain, like especially coming out of Scientology's abusive long-term control. Like, I don't know how to say it other than to keep repeating it, because that's how it was for us. Every single day of our lives. It's literally every minute, every day of your lives when you're in the Sea Org.
That's right. 24/7, 365.
Literally, like literally.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I loved it when there's like 2:30 in the morning. Hello.
Yeah. All-nighters. We're having another all-nighter.
That's right. That's right. You never even saw your pillow that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of those.
Even when you just said pillow, I remember always not having the pillow that I needed. When I did sleep, it was always like, God, can I just get a better pillow?
Right.
It was just so uncomfortable, or I'd be like, wait, somebody took my pillow, or some pillow got swapped or something.
Exactly. Can't I? And can I please have more than one uniform shirt? Please, sir. May I have just one more uniform shirt,
Like, it was a precious prize. It's so pathetic. It's so bad. And that's what I mean about every minute, every hour. Like, I remember being like, my right uniform shoe, the heel had like broken off. So then I had like gorilla glued it, and like the heel was just like lower than and also I was like 13 going to 14, 15. So my shoe size and everything are still adjusting. Like, and I just had this, I got so comfortable with these worn out Sea Org shoes, because every time I would ask, I would either forget to ask that week. There was like certain times that you had to put in purchase orders, which were like POs to be able to say like, this is why you need a pair of shoes. Just so fucking stupid. And coming out, that's just one aspect of just being sort of mentally fully out on that end of it. Is like, wow, like even realizing the smallest things, like asking for uniform, you felt like you were a burden. You felt like you were like maybe you didn't manage to have your where you should have not worn down the shoes as much, or you shouldn't be sweating your pits so much that your armpits are yellow and you have to get a new uniform shirt. It's just so crazy coming out knowing how much money they reg out of people, how much money they pull in. It's like, and then seeing how much they pay their lawyers and people to attack protesters and to attack everybody, pretty much speaking out about the basic inhumanity that goes on inside Scientology.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's
I
so
was I was absolutely blown away by the Debbie Cook email when she was like dropping the billion bombs, and I was like, "We have how much in the bank?" You know, and I was just barely on my way out at that point. I was still in the Sea Org when that email came out, you know, in New Year's, and she was dropping some hard truths about you know how
what
much
year
money
did
the
she
church
do?
was sitting
What
on.
year did she do that email?
That was the 2011 to 2012 New Year's
Okay, yeah.
night is when that dropped. And that was the year that I, you know, I had just gotten on the fence pretty hard myself. I was on mission in Minnesota, and then that thing came down, and I got a look at it, and I was like, damn, she's not saying lies here, you know, from the Scientology perspective. And so it
That's
was
wild. And my experience with Debbie Cook was I was in CMO, obviously during the Lisa McPherson case, and I was
oh
one of the
man.
messengers. I basically took over Jenna Miscavige's post position as the flag crew programs operator in CMO. So I was like, you know, doing a lot of the flag crew estate programs. Um,
Uh-huh.
and of course
Uh-huh.
working with the captain flag crew, and then also with FSO, because we're working in all of the, you know, the flag crew, and we were building in the HGCs. I was having to know when they were ready to be built and who could start moving their stuff in, and it was just like crazy, all these program targets. And then flipping from there and being put on a special messengers project to just run for the executives as like a messenger runner during the Lisa McPherson case. So during
Right.
that, I was literally watching all this, like, unknowingly, all this criminal illegal behavior, and I was shredding documents, you know, that I had no idea what I was shredding until visually I was like reading the, you know, about the court case and Kendrick Moxon and just everything, like, and then like being like, oh my god, I shredded some of these documents, like this is so crazy, and how many lies were in it. So it's been ricocheting from there. I've just
Oh,
been learning so much.
I have many questions for you at a later date, but let me just ask you right now, how old were you when that was going down?
I was 14.
Okay. I
I
have a
was
lot of
in
questions for you about that time period. We can do that later, but I'm very
We'll do a
interested in
whole
what
flag service organization episode.
yeah, I'm very
And
interested
then
in what you know. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And then obviously I don't know if you know, but before that, before I went to Clearwater at 13, I was a Int Ranch cadet, you know, child,
Yeah.
which the
Yeah.
Int Ranch has its own little laws and rules compared to many other
Right.
bases of Int Ranch slavery, little fucking
Right.
human trafficking camps that they called the cadet org. But my mom
Yeah,
and dad
exactly.
were my mom and dad were at Gold Base, and so just being a kid of theirs already, they had the kids of the Int base at the Int Ranch Cadet Org, which was only like a 15-minute drive maybe from the ranch to the Gold Base, but we still only saw them for only 2 hours. If they had all their, you know, post position shit done, then they would catch that one run or whatever, sneak a ride with another parent if they happen to have a car that they used to have before they joined the Sea Org 20 years ago, whatever it is, right? And they would spend maybe 2 hours with us, 2.5 hours tops, and then they'd go back to the Gold Base and back onto post and back, you know, until the next Sunday.
Wow. And this was early 90s. How many of you were there at at the Int Ranch? Because there was a Pack Ranch down in
Mm-hmm.
LA also, and there
Yeah.
were the Pack cadets down there. But then you guys up at Int, we never saw. How many of you were there?
I would say I was there for like almost 11 years, and I would
Damn.
say no, I was there for like 10 years. And I just remember being in the governance group, the bad group of the cadet org, uh,
Mm,
over 11 times and in the 10 years. And I was thinking like, oh, damn.
Cadet RPF.
Yeah, cadet RPF.
Jesus.
But I would say overall, there was like that throughout those 10 years, I would say maybe about 120 kids.
Really? That
Yeah.
many?
Yeah,
Wow.
that eventually came from
Wow.
the int ranch, starting from like the 89, 90s till 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there were a lot, but I did not realize there were that many, because there were
Right.
never that many down in the pack ranch. And I mean, I'm guesstimating, but I think max down at Pack Ranch was 40 or 50
I
ish
think
at
maybe
most,
like
I think.
80. I think maybe like around 80 was their probably the most that they had
80 they
at
had.
some
Okay,
point.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
And
I'm
then
happy to be
sometimes
corrected.
the pack cadets would shuffle. Sometimes they would have some of them, the ethical ones or whoever's new parents were going to Gold Base for whatever
Right.
reason. They would have them um, go to the int ranch. So,
Okay.
like for
So you
example,
sometimes had
JJ.
some back and forth.
Yeah, JJ Klingler, he came and then he went back to the pack ranch later.
Right.
And then like, Sam Francis and Miriam, Sam Francis, her little brother came to the int ranch.
Right,
And
right.
and
Red,
so
red,
like
yeah,
at
remember
later
him.
at later points, Lauren Hollander, she came a few years later than I did. I came in the 90s. So she
Right.
probably came, I think, in 94 or something like that. Maybe a little later, but I remember her just being so sweet and like new and sensitive, and I was just like, oh god, she has no idea what's coming for her.
Yeah, yeah, it
uh
was a little Lord of the Flies-ish.
yeah,
Um,
so yeah,
how
but yeah.
yeah, wow. I had another question about that.
and it
Oh, okay, it'll
and
come back to me. Sorry, I totally mind blanked
It's
there.
okay,
Sorry about that.
and I want people to remember, like, the ranch was really secluded because it, was on Indian reservation property, Native Indian reservation property,
Oh,
and
right.
so it was really, w I don't know, clever, but also completely manipulative and illegal that, they would have if child services was called or somebody was like, "Hey, I hear kids screaming, swearing," which happened a lot, the native they would call the police or, the local sheriff or whatever it was. I wouldn't know because we didn't know.
Right.
And then they would have to notify the chief of the tribe to get onto the property because you have to have permission. And so then the chief would notify the IC, the ranch in charge, the overall head guy of the ranch, Dan Perbilski, to that the sheriff or the police were coming on, and then the cadets and the kids of these people were trained to literally act and be and PR the fuck out of whoever was coming, no matter what was going on. We were trained and drilled and
Yep.
programmed to act and be a certain way, literally.
Yep.
And again, they call everybody coming onto the base a WOG. So it's you can
Yay.
just everybody's is in this category. So yeah,
So
I don't know.
wow.
I got sidetracked there. I forgot.
No, it's
Oh yeah, the
fine.
kids.
I was curious. Did
Yeah,
they have since we're talking about this, the other thing that sort of imprinted itself on me, because I never went to the Pack Ranch, but I knew all the, because at one point they converted all those guys, all those kids over to Sea Org, TTC and stuff in Pack, right?
yeah,
They put them into full-time training to be auditors and word clearers and stuff like that. And they all had red shirts. They were the red shirt TTC, right? And it was
yeah.
a
They
big
did that at
deal.
the cadet, the int cadet org as well.
They
They
did.
did it.
Okay. And
They
so,
had the cadets doing the TTC with the red shirts, and then
yeah,
eventually also working in HEM, the e-meter, the Hubbard
okay.
e-meter. The cadets were literally building and making the new quantum e-meters.
Wow.
Like my
Yeah,
sister.
no labor, no child labor trafficking going on here.
No,
But
no.
yeah, so the thing that alarmed me in talking with the cadets that I met, who later took on Sea Org posts and stuff, right, was how there were just all those animals up there at the Pack Ranch, including rattlesnakes, and so it was a sort of a known skill set to deal with rattlesnakes. And all the kids knew how to just pick one up or stick it with a stick and pick it up and twirl it and kill it. And and he was so matter of fact in explaining this to me. I talked to a couple of them about it, and they were all just so, yeah, like you grew up in the jungle kind of thing, right? And as a Sea Org member, I was like, how is anybody okay with this? Like, even in the Sea Org, I was like, these are kids and those are poisonous snakes. What the hell are these people thinking? But it was all shut down by that point, and I'm just finding out about it all after the fact. So I didn't, it wasn't a whole lot I was going to be able to do about it, but it just really hit me. I was just wondering, did you guys have similar things up where you were?
Yes, absolutely. Not only, well, we had, I mean, yes, I could absolutely see the whole stick situation, but we also had, because we were always working with our hands and shovels, we literally had like shovels, and we would, yeah, we would, not only that, we were told that if we gave the rattle to security, they would send the $20 or $10, whatever it was, to the kid that killed the snake. So they were also encouraging it.
Right, incentivizing it. Awesome.
Right.
Awesome. Wow.
Right. That was just
Wow.
one of the normal things that, yeah, like
Yeah.
what? No.
Life in the Sea Org growing up. And I guess that
And not
many
only
kids.
that, like there was also like that, sorry, that reminded me of like
Yeah.
they would have us working in these big warehouses. Like we built out this big warehouse and then we were always organizing all the piping and all these things where there were always scorpions and like poisonous everythings, including snakes and all that. But it was just never, like, yeah, I just thought of like 5 different times kids got hurt doing things that are just like, why, like they couldn't even tell the nurse or the doctor like what happened. Like they said, even like I fell like extreme like knocked out and everything because I was climbing through the maintenance shed windows to get all the tools for all the kids because the adult didn't make it to the shed in time. And so we
So
needed
you're
to get
making it go right?
I was making it go right. I was wondering if you knew that's where I was going. And so I was, so one of the kids, Kimberly, picked me up and I was climbing through the window and I said, okay. And she didn't hear me and she thought I said lift more. And so when I let go, she lifted more and I just went head first and I hit the metal table and then the ground and I just was out. And so there's just so many things like, and then they had me doing locational assists and like touch assists, and contact assists for like 8 hours or so before they eventually finally told me, or told somebody must have told them I need to go to the hospital. And but it's almost like they had a fear of like, oh, what are they going to say? What is she going to say? I was vomiting. I was like completely, doing things that I should have been right away brought to the hospital. So there's
How
just,
old
and
were
that
you?
was, I think I was about 9 or 10.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's bad enough they did shit like that to me when I broke my finger and wouldn't let me go to the hospital for a full 24 hours. But 9 years old, fuck that. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and I literally had a concussion. And
Oh my God.
by the time they
Yeah.
said I went to the hospital, I just remember I'm getting I'm hoping to get my medical records back on this. But they said, I do remember the doctor literally saying things like, yeah, well, it's equivalent, like her brain is still vibrating. Like my brain, they could see on the picture or imagery, they were saying what the impact made was like that my brain was still vibrating. And then a few minutes went by, whatever, and then they said, okay, like she should be good, let her get back to her, she should be fine with her normal routines, but just take it easy. And I'm like, they have no idea what my normal routines are. Like,
Exactly.
and I didn't even understand because I just thought I just thought like, oh, I hope that means like I don't have to like be in the hot sun too long somewhere. I always
Exactly.
just like, maybe I'll be able to be on medical lines, MLO lines. It's just so weird that children were thinking in this way. And that's why I say all the time, 24/7, even in the Sea Org, it's not just children, it's the adult as well. And not only are you an adult, but you're not allowed to be a child because you're a big being in a small body. And so acting like a child or behaving like one in any way, or not being able to act like an adult when you should be, or when you shouldn't be, when it's inappropriate, but the being forced to because you're not a child. There's just this whole, always this, it's just so fucking disgusting.
Okay, I have another question you might be able to actually uniquely be in a position to answer. And I didn't realize I had this question until we were sitting here talking. But being up at the Ant Ranch and there being that many kids over that period of time, I could see some reasoning on Miscavige or the Ant execs or whoever's part in terms of, okay, we got to change what we're doing here. I don't think because they were thinking of the kids. I think they were thinking of the adults, and this it's such a distraction having kids around and all this nonsense, right? So let's put the kibosh on this, because I remember I came into the Sea Org in 1995 in West US, and you could, if you had kids, you were going to be sent to a Class 5 org. You were not going to be put on the go get an abortion line and all this other crap that ended up happening. And I thought that's what would end up happening with me, and because I was going to eventually want to have a kid. And same thing with the person I married. I got married to someone in the Sea Org in the first year I was there. And then the rule came down, right? This issue, big base briefing, no more kids, period, end of story.
What year was that for you?
I believe that was 96.
Okay.
And because I came in 95 and I was married, but I don't think it was in the first couple months of being married. I think it was in 96 that issue came down. Maybe it might have even been a little bit later. I could be wrong about that.
Was that was for staff?
That was for Sea Org. That was for the Sea Org in the PAC base, right?
Maybe for PAC base, maybe. I don't know. I just remember that there was some rule or policy, whatever, that was made in 1986, and that was a few years after I was born, that there were no more kids allowed in the Sea Org because they were a distraction to the purpose of
right.
And
but then people still had kids even after that, because then they would just get sent to an org.
Right. I think that's what I'm wondering. I wonder where the cross is between like maybe like people at Gold Base that had kids would definitely either have to get an abortion, or they would be offloaded. Like
right. Because if the issue came down in 86, it wasn't enforced that way. Right. Because they still kept the ranch going and stuff, right? They still had kids there.
Yeah.
And people showing up with kids, I assume, with that many, or still having kids if that many are showing up. So
1986, yeah. And so 1990, the Int Ranch started, really. It was around 1990.
Okay. Yeah. So they were definitely still dealing with kids. But in 96, when this thing came down, it was no more cadets, no more nothing, no nurseries, no, we're done. And if you get pregnant, you're out. And then it became this thing of, well, we don't want you to leave, so you must go get an abortion because that's the only way you can stay. And clearly, this is the ethical thing to do because you've had a million babies before, so you need to go get an abortion, right? And sometimes this is obviously being said at the top of people's lungs, right? It's not just being calmly explained to them.
Yeah, it's very, very psychologically abusive. And I was on route outlines with multiple people that at different times, because I tried to leave the Sea Org in their terms, the way they require that you leave, on their routing form, their leaving of leave. So I tried to do that. I tried to leave. I even have a document, my offloading document that says, Megan Anderson has tried to leave the Sea Org 3 times now, or this is her 3rd time. And I was like, that's right. More evidence that you literally held when I tried to leave multiple times. Anyways, and I'm only 17 by this time. This is the 3rd time that I'm trying to leave, and I'm 17 years old. But so I was on route outlines multiple times, and every single time there was somebody who was pregnant, who was like crying, going through so much mental, psychological stress for not getting an abortion or for causing so much harm that she's leaving her post position and having to leave it up to somebody else, you know, and they have people coming and talking to this like literally mother with a child, and is like putting so much mental pressure on her to stay, and she's like, there's no staying otherwise, you know, I want to have this child. Like, it's so much.
Yeah,
And even
exactly.
she didn't want to leave, but she was not gonna not have that baby. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So I
Well,
don't know.
my wife got pregnant and we succumbed to the pressure. You
Yeah.
know, it was real. It was very, very real. And we were really upset about that. We were really upset about the whole thing and the whole change up because we had both thought, well, we'll do, you know, we'll work in the Sea Org and then we'll have a baby and then we'll go to an org and then we'll come back, right? That was how the
Right.
for a period of time, that's how it worked, you know. And so I thought that was how it was going to work. What I was wondering, what I wanted to ask you about is up at the ranch, when was the last year you were officially a cadet before you
2000.
switched over to post?
2000, because they shipped us all in little groups of like 6 or 8 or 10 from the Ent Ranch to Flag, and then one group to the Pack Org areas, and
Right.
a small group to the Free Winds, things like that.
And
Some
that
people,
was the dismantling of the Ent base or the
yeah,
Ent
of the Ent Ranch.
ranch?
Yeah.
Okay, because the pack ranch kept going for a few years.
Yeah, and I
But the
think
Ent,
they
okay.
also as well did that same thing where they were
Yeah, they did.
dismantling the Pack Ranch as well.
That's right. It just took a few years for it to go from one to the other.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I
and
think
then
that
you
was just
basically were a Sea Org member at Flag.
mhm. And I
Okay.
think also that was just because there were so many kids. We're obviously growing up. We're still children, needless to say, but we're growing up, and there were like these like, if these people can do all this rebellious stuff, then they should be able to join the Sea Org. Like, they're capable enough to join the Sea Org. And so yeah, that's how it went. And during that process also, a lot of brothers and sisters were pulled apart. And of course, not only that, but even though my mom and dad were only in my world, only 15 minutes away, it felt like they were close. So it was always sort of okay. They also, I never saw them again after that without like an
Right.
LOA approval. Like, it wasn't Sundays, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
there's things that I remember now, like when my mom and dad were like holding me, and there was one time my mom was just crying, and I was like, I remember being like, that's not good. Like, I remember feeling like, oh no, that's not good. And then I remembered thinking, oh wait, you are about to join the Sea Org in Florida. You cannot be banky. You can't be a child. You have to tell your mother it's okay. Mom, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be an executive, you know, like, so I had that weird vibe too. And so it was this weird feeling, like hugging, like my hug was like, Mom, it's okay. Like, look, I'm strong. And she's like, you're right. Trying to hold it in, you know, whatever. And then now I just feel like there's these little moments like that I feel I regret, like not hugging her as much as I should have, because I was so trained to just like not make her interbulated, because she's still an executive. She's a gold base, you know? And so,
Yeah, I totally get the headspace. I hope you're not holding that too hard over yourself, though. You were a child. I mean, you know,
no,
it was
but I
her
do
job.
wish,
It
I
wasn't
wish,
yours, you know.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure I hold a lot of things that I shouldn't, but
Well, I'm
I
not trying
do,
to, you know, I'm just
no, no,
saying.
no. I do wish that I wish she like gave me, which is just a stupid fantasy because she didn't do it the whole time I was in the cadet org. But I wish she gave me some safe word or something where it was like, if this is too much at all for you, you say this thing to me, and I'll always know you're not okay with what's happening.
Right,
And I just like, I would have
right,
used it then or something. Like, I
right.
don't know.
Yeah, we didn't even begin to think that way
Yeah.
in that group. It was so twisted up. It was just so twisted up. You know, I didn't know you existed until after I left the Sea Org, and I was on the
Isn't that
RPF with your
wild?
dad.
Yeah.
So
So you
that
were,
was
so
shocking.
What were you on the RPF before my dad went on, or did you see him come on to the RPF?
I think he was there when I got there.
And what year
Because
did you get?
I landed there, I think it was as late, and my dates are a little screwy, but I think it was as late as 2004 or 5 when I hit the RPF. And he was from Gold, so he was part of it. Was divided into two as far as the int guys would do their auditing in a separate room from us lower level guys, us pack crew guys, because we couldn't know the int stuff, right? So
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
part of that co-audit. So I didn't see him a lot, but on the decks part, which is where you spend most of your day, he was an MAA, or he was like an ethics guy, you know, cracking the whip,
Oh
or
God.
he was doing some other, you know, kind of work. Without getting into a big long explanation, there are RPFers who kind of administer the RPF, and they don't end up working as hard all day because they're doing these administrative things as well as their RPF program. So it's if you take more responsibility in the RPF, then you don't have to, you know, do as much hard physical labor, but you're still working. And he was often in those kind of positions.
Which is they're still working completely 24/7, but
Oh yeah.
it's more on like admin kind of stuff instead
Yeah,
of
like somebody has to go through the folders,
right.
right? Or somebody has to go through all the projects that are received to be distributed to everybody and dish them out, right? And do all that kind of. It was not like hours of sitting at a desk kind of work at all. It was, you know, very project
So
manager kind of work, you know.
yeah. So and then did you finish the RPF before my dad, or was my dad you did? So
I
my dad
did, and then I was
because he was
around when
on
he
it for like
graduated because he went to
you were what?
I was there when I was around. I graduated, and then shortly or at some point after he graduated, because he went to work in the CLO. And when I graduated, I was supposed to go back to AO, but I went to Bridge Publications, and I made books for 9 months, and then I got put onto Ideal Org stuff. So he was in the CLO. And so at some point while I was out doing that kind of stuff, I came back to base, and there he was, graduated, you know, in a uniform.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. While I feel like my dad was on the RPF for like 6 or 7 years, and then he got off for a bit, and then he got sent back to the RPF because he was like flirting with somebody, and that's when he told my mom that he was like maybe they should get a divorce, and that interbulated her. And ooh boo, you can't interbulate my mom because she works right for David Miscavige on all these editings for all these events, and she's been doing that she literally edits the live, you know, all the videos
I
that
was
you
going to
watch on
ask who your mom is, because I don't think I've met her.
Diane Anderson.
Yeah, is she up at Gold?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think she ever had any reason to come down to Pack for
Yeah, and she's
any
very
reason
much
for,
yeah,
yeah,
she has most of the time she has very little reason to leave that compound
right,
because yeah, they
right,
need her to just not be outside.
right. I think Phil
Um,
was part of the big bust of the 2000 bust, right, from Gold.
yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
about 90 people showed up from the int base one day, and they were all in estates. And
Yeah.
then a few days later, like 2/3 of them were bounced to the RPF. You know, it was really, really weird. It was so Twilight Zone, because none of us could ask any questions about why are all you people here? You know, it was just suddenly it was like a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And so we were just like, okay, don't ask any questions. All right. And then, you know, so eventually it sort of sorted, but that's, you know, I think that was the first time I ever actually you know, was in the same room as him.
Do you know why did you go to the RPF?
Why did I go? Out too deep.
Oh, wow, not okay.
I know, so
Um,
gross. It was phone sex.
oh.
Yeah, we never did anything physical. It was all just phone sex. It was so like off the rails. And
Oh my god.
I confess, I got my ethics in, totally, you know, totally dealt with it, and then confessed to it,
How did
and
you
then
deal with
everybody
it?
blew up because I'd actually gotten away with it. Anyway, you know how the Sea Org is. You never get away with anything for long, because y'all believe the e-meter works. So
but when you said you handled it, what was your handling? What was your main handling?
no, I just stopped it. I told her we were done. I was
Oh,
married and I
okay.
was like, yeah, we
Oh,
can't be
okay.
doing this. This is, I can't, I really got to stop. And so I just kind of got my ethics in, right? I was like, this is not cool. And tried to, fix my marriage instead. And that didn't end up, going so well. But, got busted, went to the RPF, and that was the marriage handling.
Wow.
Yeah, because you go do an RPF. I mean, that was 3 years. I was on that thing for 3 years, right? So
And
it
you
was
were
like,
still married to her while you were on the
I
RPF?
yeah. She stuck with me through that time. But when I left the Sea Org, we parted ways.
Wow. And
We really shouldn't have been married in the first place, was the truth of it. We weren't really super compatible.
right.
We just, it was a Sea Org marriage. And we literally had a courtship of about 2 weeks. So it wasn't like we really had this long ramp of getting to know each other, right? And
No
you can't
sealing the deal.
have sex until you get married in the Sea Org. So there's no taking it for a spin, right? It's like you're all in, and if it ain't great, then that's great, right? And I just mean compatibility. I don't mean I'm trying to, put this particular woman down. It's just we weren't compatible, and it was bad, and it sucked.
Yeah, and in the Sea Org, you
yeah.
only have a limited option of the people you can pick and choose to marry, and that option is literally boils down after all your choices and preferences, and plus their immaturity and your immaturity. It ends up being like maybe a group of 40 people that you're maybe interested in your whole life. So it's just like
right.
really,
it's a very small pool of potential prospects. And and then the other thing is, maybe we actually could have been compatible, but the sleep deprivation and the food deprivation and the anxiety and the stress and the constant hypervigilance. I mean, you're just not ever your best self.
Yeah.
And
That's
so you're
just
always at odds with your partner, and you're seeing your partner as your partner about as, a few hours a day at most.
Yeah. At
Right?
most.
Because even if you work together in the same room, it's, well, you're not husband and wife right now, you're on post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. It's just so dehumanizing being in the Sea Org, isn't it?
Yeah. All those details. It's like everything. And then leaving your job and then walking over to the place where you eat with the whole group of people and going to the salad bar and getting this, and like, it's just and seeing so and so scrubbing dishes in the galley, and like, oh, she's in ethics trouble. Like, everything is just so programmed and so inhumane.
Exactly. It's a very automaton kind of place. It's a very, you're here to produce. A being is only as valuable as he can serve others, right?
Oh God, yeah. So what do you remember the most of my dad from the RPF?
Okay, I'll tell you. His really, for me, he was what's the word? He was friendly. He was culturally literate. Like, he'd had a life before the Sea Org, he knew the names of bands and stuff that I didn't know, and songs and stuff. And that was how we related. When you're on the when you're on the RPF, it's not like you're rubbing elbows with other people. They're the same people all day. You're constantly shifting around and doing things. You're either with your unit for the production of the day, or you're with your twin, or doing whatever it is you're doing during the auditing, the rehab time, right? So it wasn't like, so Phil was over there, I'm over here, right? So we see each other during meals, or maybe on decks, running past each other, or, working on a project together or something. So when you rub elbows together on the RPF with people like that, in the showers, or in the eating time, or maybe during the course time, there's some open, friendly kind of opportunities for for conversation about Steelers wheels or, the 70s music, right? That's the name of a band, right? Or just talking about things that are just don't matter, just from life stuff, and that was kind of how I knew him. I never really got a handling. I think maybe once or twice he might have sat me down to do some kind of ethics handling or something on me as an MAA, but he was always he seemed like an inherently nice person, or decent person. Now, I have definitely been known to misread people before, so that was my experience of him, and it's not necessarily the full experience of him, right? Because I never saw him go off, get weird, get angry. He was pretty chill. For RPF, he was pretty. He had his shit locked down. He didn't lose his temper or go whack, and some people did. So, it was kind of one of those noteworthy things when you run into somebody like that in a situation like that. So that was the impression he left. But I never knew why he was there. I didn't know what his fuck up was or or what his posts even were that had landed him where he was. Everybody had come from gold, so it was some kind of film, something or other, Yeah. And there were a couple of times where he dropped some comments about things that indicated that, he really thought gold was, Golden Era Productions was like the James Cameron of film production studios. You know what I mean? Like it was like nobody could do a better job than they could do. Kind of a thing, which sort of, I mean, that was the only time that I saw, the kind of Sea Org arrogance that you see in people. There, that's, I think those are the things I can say about him.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like I've never heard him, which now like worries me because I'm like, why did he never like get mad and upset? Except for I do like one time he was like upset with me and like put me out in the hallway and like shut the door because I wouldn't stop crying when I was younger. But like I don't, I've always known him to be like a nice, go-getter guy, and so I always just wonder if there's something I'm not seeing. I'm like, do you know anything? Like, there's horrible things that have happened from other parents to their kids, and
oh yeah,
some of those things happened to me between me and my dad. I don't think I would want to help him. I know that sounds horrible, but I just feel like, so overall, I feel like he's always been a pretty good guy, and it's just so shitty. Sad.
It is. He is, I mean, from the little bit that I've seen of your reaches out to him and his, sort of rejections of that, pretty open, hostile rejections, I was like, damn, that's not the Phil I knew. And that really sucks. I'm really sad about that he's reacting that way. But it's a choice he's making, obviously, because he's in an environment, as we all know, where everybody, literally everybody he knows is telling him, you're the problem, not him or the group. And so it's in that situation, it's easier to make that choice, especially when you've convinced yourself for years and years and years that you're part of the most ethical group on the planet. We're the Jedi Knights, right? We're the guys in the Matrix fighting the fight. So if we have to, break a few eggs along the way, then that's the cost of the omelet, right?
Yeah, I wish
it's not like they enjoy it, but it's
they're like obsessed. It's like they have to.
Exactly, because they're so riveted to a goal or a thing, and he's that guy. He's not there because he's on cruise control. Phil's there because he believes in the mission. Yeah, that's the impression I got from him.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I feel like he's truly brainwashed. Like he really
exactly, and meaning he is part of a whole set of morals or moral agreements, right? His idea of good and bad is pretty off from yours and mine because he's got these whacked clear the planet goals that he thinks are actually attainable, real goals that are going to be accomplished. just like I did. I mean, I actually thought we were going to do it at some point, you know?
Yeah.
Part of my leaving was actually running the numbers and going, wait a minute. Whoa. I was doing that when I was still in. I was like, we can't pay the staff. We can't make enough to do it. We'd have to be subsidized, and we're not going to be. I don't even know, you know, the Debbie Cook email got me going on all kinds of stuff. And then it was, you know, we don't, wait a minute, we don't even have enough people. How many people are there on this planet anyway? And within about half an hour, I was like, holy fuck, we're never going to clear the planet. Like it was so obvious, right?
And the fact that just like half the world now is on medication and all kinds of shit, and you can't be doing any of that while you're getting auditing or doing auditing. So okay, so period, right there, full stop. You're not going to get 50% of the world off of psych medication, and that's what I think their false idea goal is. That one of them is that they think they're going to get everybody off psychiatric medication.
Oh, they absolutely believe that. And that's, in fact, something they think they're going to accomplish way before they think they're going to clear the planet, because they think they're going to have to get rid of all the psychs to get ethics in, right?
Right.
So obviously they're going to have a big, you know, pill dumping party, they think, at some point, where they're just going to, like, you know, mass non-produce all of the medications on the planet. It's so naive. It's not only like just stupid, it's just so straight up naive. It's just it's such a statement of not understanding how the world works to think that that's something you can pull off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's part of the hook, is that's the deep lie of the Sea Org, is like they're there to clear the planet. The Sea Org is there to clear the planet.
Right.
To get
by getting ethics in on the planet first.
Yes, get ethics in on the planet.
And then the universe.
Yeah. And then the universe. Hans asked, if I may, how old is Lara's father now? I feel bad about this, but I don't know the exact year. I could look it up, but I think he's in his 60s for sure. Maybe 62.
I would say that's probably true. I don't think he's in his 70s.
No. My
and
mom
he wasn't that much older than me.
Yeah, my mom is 7 years older than my dad.
Okay.
So my mom, I know, is getting there, 70s something.
Sure. Yeah, 60s.
Oh, so upsetting. Okay, well, that's so fun. Okay, so now we're gonna shift this over. Do you have any other questions in terms of Sea Org stuff, Scientology stuff, just while we have our first chit chat?
Yeah, just while we're sitting here chit chatting. I have a lot of questions for you, but I'm going to save them actually, because I want to bring you on my show and actually do your kind of life story thing.
Okay.
Kind of walk through all that, because I really want to know your whole track. I did not know that you were a messenger during the Lisa McPherson time. So that's something I'm very curious about, and I want to know about all the rest of it too. So I'd love to do that if you're down.
I am so down. And and there's so many. I like it feels that like when people share their stories, like even people just sending information on all different channels, like there's always something that it's filling me up. It's filling holes of like lead information or lies. And it feels like, that's like, it could be a small thing. Like, oh, that's why they were doing that. Like, it just feels so, it is healing. You know, it's healing to get all of these little things talked about and to like feel them in the moment as like not being stuck in a cult, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's super fun. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like, oh, good. Yeah. Like, oh, let's put these things together and figure out what was really going on.
Exactly.
And just evidence for legal situations.
Sure.
Future legal situations. Okay. And so what were you gonna, I was going to talk a little bit about protesting and,
please. Cause let me be clear that one of the reasons that I reached out to you is because I recently became aware of the fact that there were these meetings happening out in LA, and that people have been attending these things and making some noise about some of the things Scientology is trying to do. and pushing back against that. And so my experience of seeing on social media, which I am not on a lot, other than some Reddit stuff and Blue Sky, where nobody's doing any Scientology stuff, that's what I'm seeing. And so I wasn't seeing the full picture. And so that was one of the reasons I reached out, because I went, not only have I wanted to talk to her about Phil, but she's someone who could absolutely, from the inside, actually give me a fuller picture of what the hell's going on out there. You've heard some of my responses, I know, to some of what I've said, and I'm willing to change my mind if I'm wrong about things. So that's all I can kind of do in presenting myself here about all of this. But I am genuinely curious what you can share with me about it.
This is so important, and it's so important in like so many different aspects, because it's like important for recording and legal purposes. It shows that members of society, civilians, were reaching in to the city, calling in, and they have this on record. And plus we have it because there's some YouTube live streamers that always go live and record the meetings. And so but what's happening is, for example, we go to the public works meet. This morning I called in because I had this, and I'm setting up. I have a live show tonight. But you can either call in or you can go physically in person to City Hall and present yourself. So we've been doing that multiple times. I've learned this. I've seen a bunch of people do it. So, all different kind of, I guess some of them are influencers, some of them are YouTubers, some of them are activists, some of them are protesters. Audit LA, I feel, is more of an activist and a protester. Obviously, she does protest against Scientology. She has a background in dealing with neighborhood councils in the city and all of this. And so I was like, why not? I'm going to learn from her. I just started hanging out with her and would just follow her and go with her to these meetings and see, oh, well, the chief's there, the police, the police chief, there's the board of, the ethics. It's super weird because it's so similar to Scientology organization structures. So it's a little trippy and it's very triggering. And so there's a whole balance of just like keeping my emotions, off to the side and try to just stay focused. But, so what's happening is we're going in person and we're doing it physically, where you can call in, and you call in at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays. They have a public work meeting on Fridays. They have the police commission meeting Tuesday mornings at 9:30, and there's always a Zoom, and then there's always an in-person. And what we're doing is we're basically unsafe pointing, which is Scientology's word of manipulating and infiltrating the city. And we're like, for example, I got all these pamphlets printed out that I'm able to now go to the City Hall and to the police commission meetings. I last week I went to the police commission meeting, and it basically says a community warning, Scientology safe pointing. And it just describes safe pointing as a tactic used by the Church of Scientology to present itself as a trusted partner to authorities and community organizations while concealing its true purpose: recruitment, influence, and reputation management. Scientology achieves this through front groups that appear to be secular charities, drug education programs, human rights initiatives, or mental health alternatives. These groups offer free materials, training sessions, and partnerships, often targeting police, councils, churches, schools, and social services. Scientology was founded by L. Ron Hubbard, a convicted felon overseas, and is responsible for Operation Snow White, the largest infiltration of the U.S. government in history, which resulted in criminal convictions of senior Scientology officials and contributed to the organization's controversial tax-exempt status. Scientology is recognized as a cult or high-controlled group in multiple countries, and former members have documented extensive harm, including coercive control, family separation, financial exploitation, psychological abuse, child neglect, and forced labor. Its current leader, David Miscavige, is named in ongoing civil litigation. Given Scientology's large presence in Los Angeles, it is vital that safeguarding institutions understands these tactics to avoid legitimizing an organization with a long documented history of harm. And that's just the front page. Boom. And then you open it, boom, and it has all of the like able groups and the
Oh,
logos
this
with the
is
like,
so good.
yeah,
This
and the
is
way
so
to
good.
happiness uses free, like, and each one it says the way to happiness with its logo, and it shows like able manages these things. And under each one,
Perfect.
T, by the way, major shout out to T. She's in the chat. Hi, honey, I see you. She freaking got this all together. She's badass. I mean, we sent her a bunch of shit, but she did the main work of it, and then I got it all printed, which to me is the easy shit. But each the thing that we did is, show the logo. Oh, sorry. We show like the logo, and then we write what they use it for. So,
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
you know what? I wonder if I could, let me see if I can be cool enough to do this. Hold on. Maybe I just share this. Let's see. Ooh, I might be, I don't even know if it's, I forget um, share screen. I forget if I even do it correctly, but I just wanted to show T. So, wow, we can definitely turn that down. So yeah, that's how it looks. And they open it up and boom, and it has all of that.
Right.
You see all the logos and everything, and it just describes like Narconon, non-medical drug program that reject, it just has all the details. So this goes in more front groups, recognized Scientology front groups, volunteer minister, CCHR, Dianetics, Narconon.
And this is going to go to the
These go to
council or board
all
members and
the,
stuff.
yeah, every single individual one. So
Right.
yes, for example, I just did it last Tuesday to the police commission. I gave my public comment, and then as part of my comment, I said this is part of my comment, and it needs to be filed. And I literally wrote every person's name on the board while I was waiting in the meeting to get called, and so I directed it to each person. This is so that they can literally walk around with this, not walk around, but have it even by their desktop, or
Yeah,
have it
exactly.
out if they're ever dealing with, the programs, and just make sure, okay, let's make sure, because Scientology has to eventually promote who they are to stay in business. So that's why they have millions. I mean millions. They would love to, but they have quite a few hundreds of front groups that, that they're hiding.
Well, they do. And they do. And one thing to say about this, since we're talking about it, is I've said this over the years a couple of times, but not from this kind of in this space, is the Way to Happiness booklet and Scientology's human rights for children, the Youth for Human Rights materials, are quite honestly some of the best materials out there when it comes to secular moral codes or educational materials for kids and adults about human rights. And I think it's disgusting that a group that is daily engaged in human rights abuses is producing materials that are actually pretty good, just objectively speaking, right? And so people see that and don't know all the other crap, right? So they actually lead with a pretty good foot forward that people go, oh, wow, this is really cool. I really like what you guys are doing, right? It's overcoming that. And that's why I'm so happy with what you put together, because it's actually a comparable like sort of thing to it. You see what I'm saying? It's not just words or some one person's story. You know what I'm? Right. You know what I mean? And it's something you should definitely, this is a reference work. Keep this. It's not just a promo piece.
It's like, here's my little, flyer.
I love it.
And it just also like makes them realize if they ever, read Galaxy Press, Author Services Incorporated, they do pay for the Hollywood Christmas Parade. They do pay for all of that. And it's like, who's okay with this? Like, this is unacceptable. Exactly. And also, okay, so back to the city stuff. So we're doing stuff like that. At one point, I don't know if you've read Jamie's book, Child X. Nope. No? Okay. Well, we went, I just think it's a good book to show a child's story from child babyhood and the structure of Scientology. And what we did, the community work together a bunch of books, and me and Audit would go to city halls, and as we're explaining how Scientology uses the permits and closing down streets to recruit and manipulate and break into the city and recruit vendors and manipulate the system so that Scientology has their way all the time. But so we gave the book with a note from Jamie that said, like, you know, hey, just a really awesome note that was direct and said, I hope you take the chance to read this, and just so that it's on the record. Like, so every time we're doing this, all of this is put on the record.
Yeah, awesome.
I did also a huge shout out and a whole thing with Jesse Prince's book, The Expert Witness. And that thing is just full. Have you read that?
Yes, I interviewed Jesse on my show 2 years ago. Yeah, he's packed with stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I probably I probably watched that video. Anyway, so it's just full of just the structure and the mechanism and what was going on in those years up at Gold Base and all of that.
Oh, he had a front row on David Miscavige taking the whole thing over. That was one of the most interesting parts of his whole story.
Yeah, that was,
you know, really like bad. Front and center, like, you know, I mean, according to Jesse, went and got a gun. I mean, it was like, damn, you know, it was quite a story.
Thank you. Sorry, I heard everybody say bless you before they did. So yeah, that was wild. So for the city meetings, we also, for example, are asking them to bring up the revocable permit for the L. Ron Hubbard Way to change the name back to North Berendo Street.
Really?
Yeah, that's a huge thing because we're now telling them, like, look, we're losing. We already are getting them we've been documenting when we live stream and all that, and we're catching Odo rallying people and the security guards, you know, all of this is for the record. People working on public sidewalks, them fixing, you know, all the cracks in the roads and like they do all of that. That's indentured slave work. They're working on city property and they're getting paid less than $47 a week. And so we're getting to the city, like, you guys need to be the ones fixing this, not allowing a human trafficking organization to do the work for you and get away with it while literally putting RPFers on this type of work.
Interesting.
So we're trying to just do little things like that where they start giving them fines or taking away their privileges of being able to take care of the area around if they are going to be controlling the public and civilians on public sidewalks, including protesters or whoever, and thinking that it's their land when it's not. But also the whole like polling, like the bricks and all that all of that was done so strategically. Like, it literally, they put the bricks down so that they couldn't have cars park on there, because if cars park on there, then the oil and stuff leaks and the thing. So then, like, slowly they just took it over, and there's no legal city official documents that say that they had the permission to do that.
Really?
Not only that years ago when they first started putting those bricks down, they were done by RPFers and literal minors, like older cadets, and children were running around during that time. Yeah. So the revocable L. Ron Hubbard permit, they're supposed to be paying insurance, a yearly insurance on, which we don't see any records for years. So it's just all these things, like, why did they pull out the metered parking, and why did they make it into a brick road? This is why they want the neighborhood and the environment and like society to feel that they own the neighborhood. They own that. They are, like, in my opinion, Scientology is a gang organization. It's a gang manipulative human trafficking organization. They run like a gang. They act like they own the streets and property when they don't. And they do things to manipulate people so that they control the area around them. And that's what's happening. So getting rid of their L. Ron Hubbard Way back to North Berendo Street would be very upsetting to them, which I wouldn't mind. And it also would bring it back to being fair. Like, you don't see a God Street or a Jesus Christ Way. It's just, where are they? They're just getting away with, like, cult manipulative safe pointing tactics. Like, this is how they take over.
I completely agree. I'm 100% in support of that. I think that's great. In fact, I don't know if you know that when it was happening, because I was there when it was happening. I laid some of those bricks, and it was Jack Kruchko actually had an office at the LA City engineering place, whatever the engineer's office is for streets, for the for the traffic stuff.
Yeah.
He had his own like extension office out there because he was so tight with working with those people all day, every day, right? Making the street happen, because they had to take all the power poles down and put all of that under. And I believe the church paid for and constructed and did all of that. And it was mostly Jack Kruchko, doing most of that work.
Sorry, his name is Jack Kruchko. Is that what is it?
As far as I know, he's still there.
Jack Kruchko?
Yeah, it's Kruchko. Okay. And he's not a bad guy. I'm not trying to make Jack out to be some nefarious operator. He's actually a really nice guy.
No.
He was the point man on that project with the city. He was the man. It was
apparently my dad's not a bad guy, but he is the point man for the reason I was put in the cadet org. So there's just it's just like the truth just needs to be out there. We're like pulling up documents that Heber Gents was a part of. We're pulling up documents in the city, so it's very interesting. It's a very
you're gonna find stuff going back to the 70s at least. I mean, LA org as an org is one of the oldest orgs. It goes back to it's original 1950. Right, so it might be the oldest org now that I sit here thinking about it, but it's that Scientology's been in LA as a city and had organizations there longer than any other place, any other city in the world. So you could be looking for doing public records checks going all the way back to 1950.
Right, which we are definitely doing. And it's so exciting. And so,
but it was Kay Conley who was the PR lead on that project, and it was Jack who was the engineering city liaison for the most part.
Good information. I will audit will, I'm sure, see this or will hear this and be like,
yeah. Kay's not around anymore, but Jack Kruchko still is, and I believe he's still in PAC.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that is the that's just one thing. We go to the police commission meetings and we're telling them that just everything with like allowing it's inhumane. It's human trafficking to be ridiculous. Allowing. And just the fact that they all kind of perk up when you're like, they don't believe in psychiatric or mental health. They do not, right there. What is the fire department doing? What is the ambulance? Like, what's going on? They don't believe in this. And then the other thing, believe, I don't even like that word for that. They just refuse to accept it. But the other thing is they don't report crimes. They're all mandated reporters. They don't report crimes to the LAPD. They don't report it to authorities. They don't report rape and like all of this. When it comes up in auditing sessions, they don't report it. It's illegal.
Is that because of ministerial exception?
No, it's because L. Ron Hubbard literally said you will be declared an SP if you report another Scientologist to the authorities.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. I'm just saying, but as ministers, you said they're mandatory reporters, and I know that's different from place to place, state to state. So that's why I'm asking. In California, there's that. Because
you're asking about the mandated.
How are they mandatory reporters?
In my belief, from what I know, that all Americans are mandated reporters.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Is that not true? And then, but then there's something with church members or volunteers maybe being mandated reporters.
That's what I was asking about, because I know that there are ministerial exceptions where when you're a minister, at least in some places, but like I said, this is not a federal level thing. It's kind of state by state, if I understand it right. So I wasn't sure what it was in California.
Somebody tell us in the chat before.
Yeah, anybody who knows, correct me if I'm off the rails. I'm more than happy to.
No, I might. I just know, but either way, there's certain job positions, even
mandated
in
reporters.
mandated reporters. In California, they are. Oh, there you go.
I know, for example, a licensed therapist is.
In California, Kathy's
Right?
saying in
Absolutely.
California,
Like, you cannot be a licensed therapist or psychiatrist. If you find out about, some kind of crime against children, you have to report it. But I don't think ministers have to.
I wonder. So Kathy's saying in California they are mandated reporters.
In California, they are. Okay. So if that's the case, then somehow the church is slippering around that, and they should absolutely be called out on it. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. California is a
Yeah.
state that makes mandated reporters.
Good. If that's the case, then make it happen, because they don't have any excuse then that I would know of.
Right.
In a lot of places, ministers get away with stuff that that licensed people don't.
That's
and also another slippy one on this one that you wouldn't expect or look for necessarily is what you see with the troubled teen with the conversion therapy. Is you see that laws are put in place that make licensed therapists they can't do conversion therapy, but unlicensed counselors can. So it becomes a slippy loophole for the troubled teen industry and for the conversion therapists to get away with what they get away with, because they just don't bring any therapists in, and they call it conversion therapy. And there's slippery loopholes like that are not obvious that California, that they might be taking advantage of. I'm not saying there are. I'm just throwing it out there as to how they're getting away with it. They should be called out. They should.
Yeah, they definitely do, because they take advantage of the whole, child bride, marrying people off in Vegas and then bringing them back to California.
They do that.
That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, okay, good. And then
stuff is the hardest stuff to deal with legally, but it's all, we all know it's very real, but it's just so hard to deal with it legally. It was a big part of what we were studying on the coercive control program, was all the trafficking stuff. I love your gang analogy, because it's so true. It's really like the mafia,
Yeah, and even like leaving the mafia or gang, you're like, I'm sure you would feel how you would when you leave the Sea Org and Scientology. You slowly get out, and then you have to be careful who you talk to, and and then
that's right.
Yeah, you're feel threatened.
And they want to connect you with other Scientologists outside so that they can keep their hooks in you and get you a job with a Scientologist kind of thing. Unless you leave as a SP, then they just make sure everybody thinks you're horrible.
Right.
It's so mafia, right? Because it's like that's their version of sleeping with the fishes, right?
Yeah. It's so and everybody feeling, and just all the control of the land and how they snuck shit in. Like even Nora talks about how her ex-husband put their own printed made sign, for L. Ron Hubbard Way when they were in the Sea Org. So, and then Tori talks about, I have to go turn off the artichokes really quick. I just remembered, I can smell them. And then Tori talks about how they went and demanded whatever it was to get it named L. Ron Hubbard Way. So yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do a little song and dance here. Oh. Well, now that we're alone at last. I left the artichokes in too long would definitely not be something I would ever be saying in my house. I don't like artichokes. I don't like most green things.
Green things? You don't like green things?
I just kind of have this aversion to chlorophyll. I'm just not down with green. Yeah.
What is the code power?
I was wondering what that was in relation in reference to.
Oh, maybe.
I'm really glad to hear that all of this is happening out there, though, by the way, because I've been
maybe this penal code. Do you know what this penal code is?
Oh, what is it? Oh, I don't know what those penal codes are.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know
fine.
that kind of thing off the top of my head.
Okay, but yeah, so there's these little things. And so not only is it like we go in with the direction, whatever, with the city, but also there are people all the time in the city hall sitting and listening, and all the other people. Like, there's so many people are learning about this. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. It's like way more than just being on a live stream and then calling in. It's like all together, everybody's calling in, and people are sitting in the meetings at the city hall listening to the people calling in on Zoom. And so it's spreading the word. It's like our own way of protesting, where we're just, you know
Yeah.
we've done years of protesting and yelling and all of that. And so there's us, like, there's so many of us that are just learning new ways, whether that's going to the city halls, whether it's just catching the Sea Org members, on, doing their bus routine of loading up 100 people or however much Sea Org members as they can in one bus, or like how they're just auditing children on the sidewalks, literally. Just the basic things that people say, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. That's not true. Literally, we literally have it on camera.
Yeah. No,
So
it's still happening.
yeah,
It's still
and
happening.
how they use the permits, when they close off these streets, we talk to the vendors and we say, yeah, they've literally told us that they felt that they were scammed into. For example, this one chick told me
Mhm.
that she was scammed into setting up a farmer's market in their parking lot. And what happened is, yeah, some people came through, but it was really slow and awkward. And that they were recruiting the vendors. And so she had to go all around to her vendors and say, you do not need to give them your information, nothing. You don't need it, nothing like that. You don't have to. And she's like, and please don't. They do have a tendency of recruiting. So she never went back and did the farmers market there. But so there's evidence of it. And it's just interesting that, and not only that, everybody we talk to about it, they're either getting informed or they agree with us. So
Yeah, that's
there's
awesome.
there's
Awesome.
again, we're talking about this safe pointing. There are people that were infiltrated that are on the CPAPS meetings, which is the police commission meetings and things like that, the boards, where they are Sea Org members, like Janet Whelan. And they have Kirsten Peterson, Catano, whatever name you want to use, and Peters, all infiltrating on all their permits, on requesting certain information from the city. Like, and so it's just, all this work is being done by indentured slaves. Like, that's what, like, how are people in America, Americans or supposed Americans, if they're not on an R1 visa, being treated like inhumane robots?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, this is great.
Do this
This is
thing.
exactly what I was wanting to see. So I'm really happy to see that it's happening.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's
Really.
so fun. And it's super
Because it's
fun.
this long-term stuff. It seems like it's boring. It seems like it's not really doing much. It's not very, it doesn't fit well into an action motion picture. But
Yeah,
that's how you actually get shit done in our system. You know, it's the
yeah,
things going viral is great for awareness, but it's not a long-term way of actually creating change the way we need it to change, you know? Getting
yeah,
laws on the books about coercive control, stuff like that. I mean, Britain did it, UK did it, but
yeah,
it takes a great deal of effort to do it. Some states are doing it now. Colorado's done it, Hawaii's done it, New Jersey's done it, but we need
yeah,
a lot more because it's all focused on domestic violence. And we
yeah,
need coercive control to be seen as something that groups like gangs, the mafia, and Scientology do, and that's
yeah.
that's long-term work. And I don't know how to do that work, but I know that there are people who do, so I hope that we can get those kind of folks on board too.
Yeah, and it's super awesome. It feels really good to be able to, uh
Yeah.
it kind of heals what you start to see, like, oh, this is what this is what these OSA people have been doing for years and
Yeah,
years and years.
that's right.
And
Because they
just
beat us
getting
by
to,
years, by decades.
yeah,
They're ahead of us,
yeah, literally.
on this
And
stuff.
we're finding out how they get ahead. They infiltrate, they go into the city meetings, and they know what the city needs, what they're leaning, where they're weak, and where they need help donating. Oh, so we'll just donate to the Christmas parade. Author Services Incorporated, Galaxy Press, literally have their titles as paying for, as sponsors for the Winter Wonderland parade and the Christmas, it's
they don't have money for new shirts
or new shoes. Exactly. Or their overworked internal members.
Nope. But they got money for the police department, for the parade.
Yes.
For the California Attorney General's office. Goes all the way up,
All the way up. I was going to bring this up. The government is slow to react, but once in motion, it's hard to stop. And that is what's happening. That's what I really wanted to emphasize, is it's in motion now. And whether they like it or not, whether we call in, we've been calling in to Public Works for the last 2 years at least. Awesome. And now we have a regular study of like about 10 people that call in and give public comment, and some of it's Nora, sometimes it was Tori, sometimes, you know what I mean? There's always a new person calling in and giving up. Jamie called in, so there's always a way to be like representing the internal stuff that Scientology has done, has infiltrated, and it's kind of undoing that. And so it's fun to catch like, oh, hey, you, like, oh, that's where it came from. Oh, this is the person approving the permits. Oh, they get away with this fee because they just pay the fee. That's like, so they don't care. And so we have to show that. We have to show that literally to the board of ethics, the board. And that's how we're doing it in City Hall. That's where this gets done. So
awesome.
It's happening so much. And then on the side, we also, yes, if we can get to Blue and get some people in and do that, that's great. But right now, at least we can legally tell the Sea Org members to stop working on the city property and that it's illegal, and document it and send those videos from our YouTubes to the city, to all the boards, and to get things like this printed and done, so that it's also, we're not draining our energy by being like, oh, well, all these groups were, the drug-free No, we could just be like, here, can you take 1 minute just to thoroughly read this and then keep this with you in case you're doing programs or sponsors and you know if any of them sound or look like this.
See there, this is this power lies to paralyze catch comment here might be the point. Yeah,
that's
the kind of loophole I'm talking about. Because if there's one thing you can say about a confessional or an auditing session, is you could describe it that way. That's in fact why they go out of their way to stamp the folders with that confidential, confessional, religious confession thing, right?
Right. I agree. But I'm telling you, what happens though is there is no confidentiality, and every ethics officer, every MAA, so many people know, other than
we know that. Oh yeah. No, we know that. But look at what Laura DiCrescenzo had to go through to prove it to the court. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it's absolutely true. These guys are fucking full of shit. The fact they're even calling themselves religious counselors is kind of gross.
Right.
But but proving that is, oh my God, it's a real mountain. Yeah, it's not hopeless. I'm not trying to put out like it's all just useless. I swear to God, I hope I'm not coming across that way. I'm just trying to acknowledge that the problems are real.
No, it's not useless. And it just, again, it can just feel kind of heavy because we were in it and we deal with how deep they go. They'll do anything to make sure that these things are stamped into place. But we've been, like I said, we've been doing this for 2 years, and whether they like it or not, they have to print this out on the record. We have it on the record on our YouTubes. We have it so we can bring a case saying, Public Works, if it has to be suing the city, if it has to be suing the fact that they didn't let us park on a street that was never metered, to not be metered and to be open to the public.
That's interesting. That's a good call. That's a good call on that, is tackling that city stuff, because I was under the impression, and of course I would have been because I was in the Sea Org at the time, that everything we were doing was fully permitted and all laid out and all, fully legal and all that. So if it's not, take it down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean,
because the city was from the city's position at the time, they were more than happy to have Scientology do what it was doing to that street. So the city got a complete deal out of it as far as they were concerned. No more ugly power poles, all these people doing all this work for the city, laying the bricks, doing all the stuff. And then you're going to keep it up for us? Oh my God.
Right.
I mean, the city was just like, please, shut up and take my permit. You know what I mean? So, so apparently if there's no, if the permits or the paperwork is, is challengeable, then fucking A, go for it. I thought it was locked in, but I'm happy to be wrong about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's ways to just get rid of their revocable permit, put it back to North Berendo.
Great.
If there's public, if there's Scientologists or Sea Org members working on public streets or public sidewalks in any way, shape, or form, that they are to be paid the correct hourly wage, whatever that is.
That's a tougher one.
And to be treated fairly with proper health and medical insurance, et cetera, especially if they're climbing and they're on things which are meant to be permitted, like putting up all the lights around Christmas, all of it. It's all done by indentured slaves. So, cool.
It's pretty off the rails because it's such an accepted practice, and what you're really dealing with is volunteer religious work, right? When you classify something, and Scientology has been getting away with this for decades.
Yes,
it's what those, the Sea Org contract is bullshit, right? But the staff contract isn't. That's a legally binding document,
right?
The billion-year thing is like whatever, right? Nobody can do anything with that. But the staff contract says, I have no rights. You sign that thing and it's like, I have no rights. I'm signing over all of my rights to the church. No money, no pay, no health insurance, none of that. And that's how they're getting away with it. And the fact that that's even legal to do in the first place is what's so off the rails here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, it would be interesting to break down whether it's coming from a visa, an R1 visa standpoint, or if it's a mixture. Like maybe they recruit them, then they say, oh, you can be here because you have a religious right,
Oh, there's a lot of different. Yeah, the religious worker visa line is probably, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, and everything's subject to change. Right. But if I'm seeing things right, in a couple of years, they're probably not going to be able to get the number of R1 visas they've been getting, because according to Tony's reporting, they're the number one users of that line in the United States. And I think they're going to have that cut off because of all the immigration kerfluffle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have a harder time bringing in workers from outside the country now. And I think that's going to make their efforts to recruit locally. I don't think
so. I think because of their status, they literally have the R1 visa status, and they can just bring them in.
They do right now, but I'm saying they're tightening down on that. The government is, the federal government, because of all this immigration noise. So I'm predicting that they'll have less of that over the years. But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking that their local recruitment is going to get amped up because of that, because they've been relying a lot on that foreign line for a long time,
You just have to follow Dave Miscavige and the events. Like he just opened that org or mission or something in Puerto Rico. So they're that's where whatever they can do out of the country org, they're going to, And so,
well, Puerto Rico's a part of the U.S. I mean, but the Russians, the Taiwanese, it's the Taiwanese. I always get it backwards. Anyway,
that they're like doing the whole Dianetics thing again.
Yeah, they're doing that, but they're bringing a lot of people over still. I think from Russia, Ukraine, Ukraine, Hungary, and I think Taiwan. I think that's become a pretty big not like, LA big, but for relative thing, right? I think Taiwan is a pretty big source of recruitment for them right now. I know that's how they're populating their Australian orgs. The Sea Org is a lot of them are from Taiwan.
Right. Yeah, and they are. I've heard that as well, even on this side.
Yeah.
I thought
But the ability to bring foreigners in as religious workers in the United States is gonna get clamped down on. I think this administration is gonna, turn the screws hard on that.
We'll see. I don't know.
Guess
Or
we'll see.
it's the big hiding place that they can indenture a slave, literally.
No, it is. It is. It's an unfortunate, it would be probably one of the only good consequences of this whole immigration crackdown that Scientology gets its recruitment line shut off.
Right. If somebody came in and was like, you can't. Yeah, exactly. And especially with like, if they're doing it, I wonder if they could, go undercover. Now I'm just getting in fantasy land. But if they would have somebody go undercover that was like, oh, I'm from here. Oh, and they can hear the whole process of like, oh, well, if you join the Sea Org, you can stay, like just so they can hear how they get people from other countries into joining Sea Org or Scientology. And then when you're in the Sea Org, specifically from another country under an R1 visa, OSA is holding all your passports and everything. You don't get told. They deal with it. They say when you need to go get pictures or what papers you sign.
Right.
So
right. No, yeah, I watched him do visa fraud right in front of me with my RPF twins. So I didn't realize that's what I was, I did, but I didn't realize that how wrong it was, what we were involved in, right? But he was taking pictures. This is a Hungarian national who was in the Sea Org, who was my RPF twin. And he was divorced from his wife in the Sea Org, his American wife. But they had to make like they were still together and everything was great. And so they had to take pictures of being all lovey-dovey and everything to send to the visa people as though he was living the high life when he was on the fucking RPF with me.
Yeah.
So that kind of visa fraud is, they're going to do that kind of shit 24/7, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Windy City Thane says, it's truly amazing that the Sea Org, most ethical beings on the planet, lie so easily to members and potential members. Yeah. We all did.
Well, if you think what you're doing is the greatest good for the greatest number.
Greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics.
That's right.
If
you really believe that, anything is justifiable, right? If the ends justify the means, anything goes. There are no rules. And that's what's so horrible about that way of thinking, Just horrible.
Yeah.
Especially when you're raised with it. Yeah.
Welcome world to our wild lives.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, thanks for that whole rundown on all the protest stuff, though. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And we'll do more of it too. It gets more and more exciting. We're going at angles that we were like, oh, why don't we try this? Why don't we call in here? Why don't we get on the ethics commission? Why don't we go on the PAPS board? Why don't we go to the police commission? And it's just making these key current people in the city at least notify them that the tables are turning when it comes to Scientology, because this shit is no longer what's going to keep on going.
Yeah. This is how the change happens. This is absolutely how it happens. It's this really, really boring shit work that doesn't look like it's doing a lot.
And it looks boring, but when you're there, you meet people and you're meeting the things. That's and they're like, hey, and someone will come and say, just so you know, off the record, I'm totally with you guys. And we went to like the Burbank meeting. They were 100% openly on the board saying, we do not want Scientology in Burbank. And this is not what, absolutely not. And they're very aware of it. And they were like, they are waiting for these pamphlets so that they know if there's any connection or ties to even just Burbank. And Los Angeles is huge. It's Hollywood, Burbank. They all have all different kinds of, studio cities. It's in the valley. Like everything has its own area and people over certain things. Hugo Martinez is over the East Hollywood, this whole area. So it's you have to get it to the right people that, you know, like, oh, dang, this is really in my city. It's right here. So that's what we're working on. Yeah.
Great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the protest stuff, the getting outside the orgs and stuff, it has its place, it has its function, but it's not the long term. Here's how we create systemic change, right? So that's the only reason why I've ever had any kind of issues is like, well, okay, but there's a lot more to creating the change, you know, and
although
anyway.
I do believe that systemically, statistically, I do believe that they have definitely slowed down a lot on their recruitment and all that because of all of the doors shutting and all of that. They just
absolutely
can't. They just can't.
Yeah.
So I do think we are, even if it's a little, just like the justice system, everything just slowly takes its thing. And in a way, we're warning them, look, we're protesting you. This is what's happening. You're being exposed. You better come out now and just come clean and whatever. Otherwise, we're going to bring it to court, stuff like that. I mean, we're going to bring it legally anyways. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. I'm learning a lot from this as well. And it's also healing. I feel like I'm actually hitting the right people that need to hear it. And if not, then I know where it's being stopped. So I can find out who's stopping it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I also wanted to say, I wanted to say real fast, because I also didn't know this. I didn't know you sang.
Yeah. Love singing.
Like, oh, okay. Anyway, you're good.
I love singing. I love performing. I love, it's my side world that I do. Yeah. Cool. Speaking of which, guys, I have a show tonight at the Monty Bar. I go on at 9 p.m. sharp. I think it's like a $10 cover charge or something, maybe 15. I don't know. You know, just come if you can. Doors open, I think, at 8 p.m. And there's also like a grungy, awesome underground kind of punk vibe and really awesome artists that I get to open up for and start the night off with. So it's going to be super fun. I might live stream it. So if you're watching, come on over to my channel at 9 p.m. Los Angeles time. And I might live stream it so you can see what I do in my quirky little ways while I'm just having fun. And again, it's also healing. It's therapeutic. There's performing and being able to remember why I wrote songs like I Love You for my parents and just for like at my family, knowing that I like it's probably the last song I may be able to tell this. Kismet or whatever, where it's like, that's, there you go. Like there, that was my goodbye. I love you. And I'm now going off and exposing this cult. You know what I mean? So yeah, tonight I might do that. I might live stream it. That might be fun. And either or, the sound always is not ever as good as it is in real person. Same with the live show. So if you're in Los Angeles, always come to the live show. That's the fun. That's the good stuff. And of course, it'll be great to see everybody. So that's 9 p.m. tonight, the Monty. And then I just wanted to give a really quick update. I don't know. I asked the community to help me. I don't know if you know about this, Chris, to get my van fixed up and worked on. And they were so amazing. Plus a few little angels that I cannot speak of, but they also helped me so much and I love them so fucking much. So, but the van has a new radiator, which is so amazing, and it has a new starter, which is so amazing, plus all the cable, the tubes and all that for that. And the back wheel, I'm not blaming anything for anybody, but the back brake wheel wasn't done fully or whatever, and one of the springs was off and just flinging in the whole drum kit, and so yeah, it was making a horrible scrape noise, and one time it didn't fully stop. So yeah, crazy. So that got fixed, and now they are working on there's a little bit of a leak in the some hoses in the transmission and some stuff on the motor, so that's what they're working on. So I'll be picking up the van hopefully in an hour, and then I can load it all up and go do my fun sound check and have a beautiful show tonight. So if you're here, come on through. I obviously, Chris, I would invite you if you were here, but maybe I'll come your way and do a show. I will be, I think I am planning definitely, maybe almost definitely to go to the March 11th, right?
Yes, the Aftermath comedy show.
Yeah, for the Aftermath Foundation. That might be fun. Plus, I have a beautiful person out there and like good dear friends of mine that I will love to see as well. So
awesome. Yeah, come on out.
I might see you before you know it.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, thank you for this.
Thank you so much. And thank you for letting me talk about my dad with you and just catching that vibe. And yeah.
I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while about that, so I'm glad we did.
Thank you. Yes, me too.
Yes.
That's good. I'm so glad we did.
All
and
right,
we'll do more. We can talk about, we can talk about the Lisa McPherson stuff and many other subjects, I'm sure.
So many questions. Cool. All right.
All right. Love to you all. I'm going to send everybody off with my So Suppressive. Oh, you can hear this one, Chris. This is called So Suppressive. Love you guys so much. Ciao, ciao.
Your heart, your love and soul. Now you're all alone, wondering which way to go. Who cares? Who really actually knows? You got your money and your crimes, you're doing fine. Cross the borderline and now your kids are on the line, waiting for the other to cover up their crimes. But now the feds are on the line. Suppressive, well, you like it or not, you're so suppressive. You put yourself in this box. Your time, your pain, you're mentally insane, and you don't know who you are, so you best behave. Don't stop giving till you give it all. Don't stop giving till your feelings are small. Till you've given it all. You don't stop. Don't stop. You've got your money and your crimes, you're doing right. Cross the borderline and now your kids are on the line, waiting for the money to cover up your crimes. But now the feds are on the line. Yeah. You're so suppressive. Well, you like it or not, you're so suppressive. You put yourself in this box. My time, your pain, I'm mentally insane, and you don't know who you are, so you best behave. Don't stop giving till you've given it all. Don't stop giving till your feelings are small. Till you give it all, no, you don't stop. Oh, till you give it all. You've got your money and your crimes, you're doing fine. You've crossed the borderline and now your kids are on the line, waiting for the court to cover up the crime. Put us in the lawsuits this time, yeah. I'm so suppressive. Well, you like it or not, we're so suppressive. You put yourself in this box. Your time, your pain, you're mentally insane, and you don't know who you are, so you best behave. Don't stop giving till you've given it all. Don't stop giving till your feelings are small. Don't stop giving till you've given it